All right. Are you good to go? All right.
All right, so y'all, welcome in. This is the fourth day of testimony in Leticia Stauch versus Colorado in the unaliving of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch. And we are going into the courtroom. The judge is on the bench, and the jury has not been brought in yet, but here we go.
Call 20 CR 1358, People versus Leticia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury is not present in the courtroom. Is there anything we need to take up outside the presence of the jury at this point in time, Mr. Allen?
Yes, Judge. So prior to us starting trial, you had asked us to give you notification. We're going to bring in any sensitive photos. So there will be some of those today. Some from the scene where the suitcase and Gannon's remains were found, but then also clothing. But more importantly, the suitcase we intend to bring in today, since the time that it was recovered in Florida, it's been in the freezer. Time that it was recovered in Florida, it's been in the freezer. It's got lots of fluid on it. So I intended to have that be the very last thing that I admit into evidence. Okay. It'll be in a plastic bag so that the jurors can see it and appreciate size and that kind of thing. And then what I would like to do is then once it's admitted, unless defense has any specific cross on that item, have it taken right back out. It will smell at the courtroom if we keep it here.
Mr. Tellini or Mr. Cook?
I would like to take it out, yeah.
You stopped at taken. I wasn't sure if it was cross-examination or what. So
I don't know if it would be cross-examination.
But it's okay to bring it in, take it right back out. Okay. All right. All right. So what witness is that going to be through?
Our very first one, Kelly Smith, will be our first witness this morning.
Okay. Okay.
And then what I would like to do, Judge, just because of the size of that exhibit, is probably have the suitcase, is have our investigator come in and actually just hold it for the witness, and then have that investigator show it to the jury, lift it up, and then when we're done, walk it back out.
All right. And I assume just substitute photographs for it?
I'm sorry?
Substitute photographs?
We have photos of it as well, yeah.
Okay.
Just with photos, it's hard to...
Hold on just a second.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the photos, obviously, it's hard to get a good feel for actual size.
No, and I understand that part,
yeah.
So, okay. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to address before we bring the jury in? Prosecution?
No, you're right.
Defense?
No, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead and bring them in. That's what I was just checking. Are you doing okay? Okay. All rise for the jury, please. That's okay. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. You may all be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Leticia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start our day the same way that we have every other day, and that is, has anything occurred since we were last together that causes any of you to believe you could not continue to serve as a fair and impartial juror? If so, please raise your hand. No response? All right. With that, prosecution, call next witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. We would call Kelly Smith.
All right. Ms. Smith, if you would step forward and raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Good morning. You swear or affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
Good morning, ma'am. Will you please introduce yourself to our jury and spell your first and last name for the record?
Morning, I'm Kelly Smith, KELOISMITH.
And there's a microphone there. Slide it closer to you and try to speak into it so that everybody can hear you.
Okay,
Ms. Smith, who are you employed by?
Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
What do you do for the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office?
I'm a crime scene technician,
And just because we don't have a Santa Rosa County here in Colorado, where is that?
Florida.
All right. What's the biggest city in that county?
Milton?
Milton? Okay. Is that very near to Pensacola?
Yes,
Okay. And Pensacola is in what county?
Escambia County, Florida.
All right. And I think you said that you're a crime scene technician, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What education do you have that allows you to do that job?
I have several crime scene classes, water classes, suicidal classes that I've taken for the job, and then a 40-hour class that they gave me when I started.
The 40-hour class, is that the basic crime scene investigation class?
Yes,
Was that in 2019?
yes, sir.
Did you also take a crime scene processing class in 2020?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that you took a water class. Was that the aquatic abuse, death, and homicidal drowning investigations?
Yes,
Was that in 2021?
yes,
And then you said suicide investigations also? Is that right?
yes,
Okay.
sir.
Was that in 2022?
I believe so.
Let's see. What did you do before you became a crime scene technician for Santa Rosa County Sheriff?
I was still employed at the Sheriff's Office as a 911 dispatcher,
How long did you work as a dispatcher?
13 years.
What are the duties associated with being a crime scene technician for Santa Rosa County?
Documentation, photograph, collection of evidence, packaging of evidence to turn it in. We do dusting of the fingerprints and take DNA samples.
Is it common for you to actually go out to potential crime scenes?
Yes, sir.
Do you sometimes collect evidence from crime scenes?
Yes, sir.
Do you also occasionally attend autopsies?
Yes, sir.
Will you typically collect evidence from those autopsies
Yes, sir. And photograph.
and photographs? I want to direct your attention specifically to March 17th of 2020. Were you working as a crime scene technician back then?
Yes, sir.
Did you get a specific call to respond to the Escambia River Bridge on the report of a suitcase with a body inside of it?
You
Yes,
said you asked if I had a
Yes.
Jesus.
What's that approximate location where you were called to?
The county line between Santa Rosa and Escambia.
And we had previous testimony from other people that had also gone to that bridge. It's sort of, if you look at a regular map with north being on the top, it looks like the bridge runs north to south, but it actually, I think, has a east-west lineage. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And as far as where you responded to, was that on the west side of the bridge or the east side of the bridge?
East side of the bridge.
Is it typical for you when you go to a scene like that to get briefed by somebody that's familiar with the investigation up to that point?
Yes, sir.
Did you have that occur here?
Yes, sir.
Who briefed you?
I don't remember. I don't recall on that one. Who
Okay.
the first person I spoke to?
Was it by chance Detective Jason Yoder?
Yes.
What was the information that you received from Detective Yoder when you got that first briefing?
That they had located a suitcase with a body in it under the bridge.
Did you have a chance to make your own visual observations of that area?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury just basically what you saw, and then at some point here in just a moment, we're going to get into some photographs.
I noticed we had to park on the other bridge, so I was able to look underneath the east bridge. and I'd just seen what appeared to be a suitcase and a
She's got the kids.
material
Keep that in
beside it
mind.
from a
Well,
distance.
she's about to have
It just
the
looked like material.
Did you have a chance also to view the scene from above, meaning on that bridge span looking down?
Yes,
Did it appear that the location where there was an indentation, that was where the suitcase was dropped from that bridge down to the ground below?
yes, sir.
What color was that suitcase? Do you remember?
Olive green color.
You mind if I come up there and take a shower real quick?
Did you go up closer to the suitcase area?
Yes, sir.
You said that it looked like there was some fabric or something like that associated with the suitcase. When you got closer, could you tell what those things were?
You could see that it was a blanket and a body.
And then you mentioned earlier that it's very typical for you to take photos of scenes. Did you do that in this case?
Yes, sir.
At this point, I would like to approach and show the witness exhibit 77 through 85, which are
You may.
photographs.
All right, go ahead.
You could just move people's exhibit 77 through 85.
I'm gonna come back through the back door. Welcome in.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those?
Yes, sir.
What are they?
These are the pictures around the suitcase that I've taken.
Out at the scene at the Escambia River Bridge?
Yes,
Are they fair and accurate representations as to what you saw that day?
yes.
At this time, I'd move for admission of people 77 through 85.
Defense.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 77 through 85 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Give me just a minute, though.
Okay.
Hello, welcome in, y'all. Welcome in. Day 4 of Leticia Stauch versus Colorado. And unalive of her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon. It started probably about 40 minutes ago, and I was late, so I just went back and started it from the beginning. And we finally have somebody new on the stand. Well, we had a couple new ones yesterday, but I didn't watch too much of it. So yeah, this is I don't remember what they said her name was, but she's an investigator with the Florida where they found Gannon's body at.
All right, go ahead.
So, Ms. Smith, this is going to be a little bit tricky for you, but I would like you to turn around in the witness stand there. Yep, you found the pointer. And then if you want to, you can actually stand up in the witness stand. But just please make sure when we're describing these photos that you speak loud enough so that the furthest juror from you can hear you.
Okay.
So point out for the jury what we're looking at there, please. And this is people 77 for the record.
These are the pylons to the bridge with the suitcase here. And from a distance, I could just tell it was material to the side of it.
Okay. And then people's exhibit 78.
Same thing. Suitcase with a different angle. I'm seeing on a different side of it.
Is that the way it appeared when you got up to the scene, that it was everything had spilled out of the suitcase?
Yes, sir.
Okay. People's 79.
Just up close of actual material and the victim here.
And okay. And people's exhibit 80.
This is just the suitcase itself.
Was it apparent to you when you got on scene that there had been quite a bit of decomposition happening already?
Yes, sir, due to the coloring here and the bug activity that was there.
What kind of bug activity are we talking about?
Maggots.
Does that indicate that the suitcase had been out in this condition for a period of time?
Yes, sir.
People's exhibit 81. What are we looking at there?
This is what appeared to be a void spot. You were up on top of the bridge looking down. And then beside it, you can see everything's laid over and it's discolored, a little discolored from everything around it.
So is that looking from the span of the bridge down towards where the suitcase likely had dropped?
Yes,
Okay. And that's what it looked like for you when you stood there as well?
yes,
82, I believe is this 82 or 81?
81.
81. So please put up 82. And is that just a close up of that last photograph?
Yes, sir.
Did that suitcase have one wheel on it?
I don't recall.
Okay. People's Exhibit 83.
This is side view of the suitcase.
And you see a wheel on that bottom left of that photo?
Yes, sir.
So if we go back to 82, does it appear that that really deeper indention there would coincide with that wheel potentially?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then People's 84.
The inside of the suitcase.
It's hard to tell in photographs, but was the inside of that suitcase wet?
Very.
Is that common to have, I guess, a wet area like that when a body's decomposing?
Yes, sir.
85.
The back side of the suitcase, and it's wet. That's what the discoloration is there. It's the liquid coming out.
So that darker area below the wheel there is liquid that had leaked out on the ground?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can take a seat again. And then that was on March 17th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you also attend the autopsy on March 18th?
Yes, sir.
So tell the jury, was the body that went to the autopsy the same body that you saw on scene on March 17th?
Yes, sir.
Blankets that you mentioned, were those also at autopsy?
They were.
Did you collect a lot of those items during the autopsy?
I did.
All right. Did you also take photographs of the autopsy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where was that autopsy performed?
At Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola.
Was there a tentative identification done as to the remains that the autopsy was performed on?
Yes.
What was tentative identification made as?
Gannon,
Gannon,
Stauch.
Stauch, okay. May I approach with People's 87 through 102?
Okay, go ahead.
Actually going up with People's Exhibit 87 and then 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102. So there's a gap for physical evidence that we'll be admitting as well.
So it's 87 and then it jumps to 89 through 102.
87 and then 90.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
Same thing as before. If you could just take a look at those, then give me Have you had a chance to look at those?
Yes, sir.
What are they, generally speaking?
Pictures from the autopsy.
Are they fair
Evidence.
of evidence?
Mhm.
Are they fair and accurate representations as to what you saw during this autopsy and things that you collected?
Yes, sir.
Or at this time, I would move for admission of 87 and then 90 through 102.
Defense.
Objection, Your Honor.
Exhibits 87 and 90 through 102 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Permission to publish those, Your Honor.
Hello.
So we've got 87 up on the board behind you, and same as before, Ms.
You
Smith, if
probably
you could
have
just
a
stand
building,
up and then
working on
let the jury
yesterday.
know what we're looking at there.
This is gonna be the bullet that was extracted from the victim.
I don't
And
know.
then there's two
Looking at the wheel, I
plastic
guess.
pieces for the
So the bullet that we see there, that's a projectile.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Is that typically expelled out of the end of a
because
firearm?
it's closed off
Yes,
now.
sir.
I know it seems obvious, but we got to be technical, right? What about those plastic pieces there? What do those appear to be?
From my understanding, they were part of the bullet.
Okay. And then you said that these were recovered during the autopsy. Do you remember where specifically?
Leave the head.
The head. And then I want to approach with people's 88 and 136. And those last,
Oh shit! What did I do?
do you remember?
Olive green color.
Did you go up closer to the suitcase area?
Yes, sir.
You said that it looked like there was some fabric or something like that associated with the suitcase. When you got closer, could you tell what those things were?
You could see that it was a blanket and a body.
What do you do for the San Rosa County Sheriff's Office?
I'm a crime scene technician.
And just
Oh my God! What did I do?
you could just move Chico's Exhibit 77 to 85 and we'll leave it. May I approach with people's 87 through 102?
Okay, go ahead.
No, where was I? 3323.
The suitcase had been out in this condition for a period of time.
Yes, sir.
People's Exhibit bridge runs north to south, but it actually, I think, has a east-west.
Have every other day, and that is, has anything occurred since we were last together that causes any of you to believe?
3324.
Okay.
Do you recognize this item?
Yes.
Does it appear to be in the same? What about those plastic pieces there? What do those appear to be?
From my understanding, they were part of the bullet.
Okay. And then you said that these were recovered during the autopsy. Do you remember where specifically?
Leave the head.
The head. And then pulling from the jury box. And let's see if we can now do the same thing with people's exhibit. Just set it on the table. Now, Ms. Smith, we're going to go back up to the photos to People's Exhibit 90. Tell the jury what we're looking at there, please.
That is the pillow that was located inside the suitcase.
Are there any defects apparent in that pillow?
yes, there's a defect right here.
When we use the word defect, what do we mean?
Not if you wouldn't buy it with that in it. It's something that's occurred after the fact.
And can you tell by just looking at the defect in the pillow what might have caused the defect? Or does more investigation needed?
Well, investigation.
In People's Exhibit 91,
This is the other side of the pillow. It was one of those that had reversible on each side. This one's wet with a discoloration. And it had some remnants on there for the decomp.
People's 92. What are we looking at here?
That's the projectile. It was put on the x-ray machine
So is this actually an x-ray of that pillow itself?
of the pillow itself.
Are there actually two projectiles visible in that x-ray?
Over here in the white.
When we, again, just so that we're being technical and not leaving anything unsaid, when we say projectiles, are we again talking about bullets
Yes,
that were inside of this pillow?
correct.
People's 93?
That would be a close-up of the damaged part of the case.
Would that coincide potentially with a bullet being fired into that pillow?
Yes.
People's 94? What,
Same thing here, with the defect right here on the pillow, taking the pillowcase off.
again, does that coincide with a bullet being fired into the pillow?
Yes, sir.
Obviously, we've seen the x-ray and the bullets were inside the pillow. Does that mean that there would not be any exit defects from the bullets?
Correct.
People's 95?
At up close of not the material, but the filling of the pillow, the damage that was done to it from the projectile.
Does that actually, can you see the projectile there as well?
Maybe a little bit right here.
Okay. People's 96?
Closer image of the damage done from the projectile.
And can you also see the projectile? People's 97?
That would be one of the projectiles that was in the pillow that we got out.
People's 98?
Defect in the pillow from the projectile.
Is this a separate defect?
Yes, this is on the other side of the pillow.
People's 9?
See, there's the defect.
So this defect that we're looking at here now is the pillow with the pillowcase removed. Is that right?
It was the first one.
And then the this defect coincides with that last defect in the pillowcase that we just looked at.
It's
People's 100.
closer shot. Pillowcase for the pillow.
People's 101.
Another shot with that's cutting the material into the filling of the pillow.
And people's 102.
That would be the projectile that we pulled out.
So correct to understand that you were able to pull out two projectiles from the pillow itself?
Yes.
At this time, I'd like to approach the witness with People's Exhibit 103.
You may go ahead.
Same thing as before, Ms. Smith. Can you take a look at People's Exhibit 103? You recognize People's Exhibit 103?
Yes, sir.
What does it appear to be?
The two projectiles we pulled from the pillow.
Are they in the same condition today or roughly the same condition today as when you recovered them?
Yes, sir.
I move for admission of People's Exhibit 103.
Mr. Cook,
Objection.
Exhibit 103 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Permission to have the witness, this witness.
That's fine. At your step there.
Judge, at this point, I would ask for permission to approach the witness with People's Exhibits 104 through 120.
You may go ahead.
Yeah.
Ms. Smith, same as before, if you could flip through those exhibits 104 through 120 and then give me a heads up when you're done looking at them.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize the photos 104 through 120?
Yes, sir.
Are those photographs that you took during the autopsy of Gannon Stauch on March 18th, 2020?
Yes.
Are they fair and accurate representations as to what you saw that day?
Yes.
And I move for admission and permission to publish 104 through 120.
Mr. Cook. All right, court will exclude exhibit 104 as cumulative. Court will admit exhibits 105 through 120.
And permission to publish starting with 105 and then through 120. Well, if you just,
You may go ahead.
okay, same as process as before, Ms. Smith. If you could just stand up and tell us what we're looking at here. First, in a general sense, what are we looking at?
This is a t-shirt that the victim was wearing when we located him.
Did this T-shirt have a number of defects in it that coincided with injuries that the victim had on his body?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when we're looking at People's Exhibit 105, there's obviously some graphics on the T-shirt, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then there's that angular measuring device there. Is that signifying, as we look through these photos, where specific defects were in the shirt?
Yes.
So can you point out the defect that we're looking at first in 105?
The defect here is gonna be right here. Here's cotton, white cotton behind it, so you can stand out.
And then if we go to 106, is that a close-up of that same defect?
It is a close-up of the same defect.
107,
Here, now we're here.
sort of where it says Minecraft over the R, it looks like.
Yes.
And then 108,
Yep. Let's see.
109. Those first two, would that coincide roughly with the left chest area, lower left chest area?
Yes.
And now would that coincide with, I guess, left shoulder area,
Yes.
collarbone maybe? And then 110,
Close up of that same image
111,
to the arm.
the sleeve of the arm,
Yes. That's right.
and then 112,
Close up of that same defect.
113,
Up to here.
So are we still looking at the left sleeve, just upper portion of that sleeve?
Yes.
114, I think,
Up close. Up
115,
Turn the shirt over. And this would be the defect.
that appears to be a larger defect than the others, is that correct?
Yes.
And then 116,
Close first.
117,
Left arm again, back side.
118,
Up close.
119.
And that one just moved up to here.
And then are we looking at the backside for both of those last couple of photos, the backside of the left sleeve?
Yes.
120,
Up close to that one.
left sleeve again.
Yes, sir.
All right, if you could go ahead and sit down. And may I approach with People's Exhibit 121 through 141?
You may go ahead. Right.
Go ahead and flip through those and then let me know when you're done. Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, sir.
What are those photographs of?
The jacket the victim was wearing when we located him.
To sort of contrast what we just looked at, the t-shirt, was that a basic cotton t-shirt with the graphic writing on it?
Yes,
This jacket that we're going to look at next, is it more of a nylon type jacket?
yes,
Is it the jacket that the victim was wearing that you recovered at autopsy?
yes,
Are these fair and accurate representations as to what you saw of that jacket at the autopsy on March 18th, 2020?
yes.
And at this time, I move for admission of 121 through 142 and permission to publish.
Mr. Cook?
It's done. We fit the bench.
Okay. Council approach, please. Right, exhibits 121 through 142 are admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor.
You may go ahead.
So Ms. Smith, same as before, 121 should be up on the screen here in just a moment. So tell the jury what we're looking at in 121.
This is the jacket the victim was wearing when we located him.
Is this the inside of the jacket, so the lining of the jacket?
Yes, sir.
So point out where you can see any defects in this jacket.
One. Here. Here. This appears to be one here.
Okay. And then moving on to 122.
Up close to that first.
And would this generally be, since we're looking at the lining of the jacket, would this essentially mean that this would coincide with the victim's back area?
Yes.
Okay. 123,
Close to that one.
124,
From the defects right there.
again, is this still looking at the lining of the jacket, which would generally coincide with the back of the victim?
Yes, sir.
125,
Close to that one.
126,
Over here, same back side of the victim.
127,
Up close.
128,
Over here, now we're over here. It's still the same on the back side. This is the lining.
sort of would this coincide roughly with the back shoulder? It looks like it's closer to the sleeve here.
Yes.
129,
Up close to that one.
130,
Right.
so is this getting closer to the top of the shoulder area of the jacket?
Yes, sir.
Still, are we looking at the lining of the jacket? 131,
Close to that one.
132,
Gonna be the hood. There's some defects here.
are we looking at the lining of the hood?
Yes.
Okay, 133,
That's that point into.
134,
Close to that one.
135,
Second.
136. And those last couple, also the inside lining of the hood.
Correct.
137,
This would be the back of the jacket.
is this just an, oh, I'm sorry,
Here, one here.
essentially an overview of the back of the jacket?
Yes.
138,
First one, that
139,
second one, the point two. Fill in the back of the jacket.
140,
here, now we're over.
141,
Still here.
and then 142.
Here's the feedback. I was trying to see where I adjust.
Does it appear that this is closer to the zipper?
Yes,
Can you see the zipper there at the top?
here's a zipper.
Okay. Thank you. And Your Honor, now I would like to approach the witness with People's Exhibit 143.
All right, you may go ahead.
You had a chance to look at People's 143.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize it?
Yes, sir.
What does it appear to be?
Pair of pants.
Photo of the pair of pants?
Correct.
Are these the pants that the victim was wearing when you went to the scene on March 17th and then the autopsy on March 18th?
Yes, sir.
Did you also collect those items?
I did.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of the pants as you saw them on March 18th?
Yes.
And at this time, I would move for admission and permission to publish 143.
Exhibit 143 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Permission to publish, there we go. Just generally give us are these nylon sort of athletic pants?
Yes.
Does it appear that there's, it's hard to tell, right? There's a lot of staining on this from decomp, I would assume.
Yes, sir.
But does it also appear that there's white stripes running down the legs of these pants?
Yes. 2 on each side.
Can you point those out for the jury, please?
There's one right here and then the other one's right here.
Okay. All of these items that we just looked at, so the pillow, the blankets, the t-shirt, the hoodie, and these pants, I think it may be obvious, but were these heavily soiled with decomposition from Gannon's remains?
Yes.
Associated with that heavy decomposition, was there quite a smell associated with them?
Yes.
Is that why we're not bringing those items into the jury to let them have to deal with that as well?
Yes.
Finally, would like to have my investigator approach the witness with People's Exhibit number 86.
All right, may go ahead.
And just so that we're all clear, this is the item that we talked about prior to.
Okay. Is there any objection? This defense. Okay. Mr. Allen?
So, Ms. Smith, our investigator Cecil Weir is going to help with this item because of the size of it. But if you could just take a look at it and let me know if you recognize People's Exhibit 86.
I didn't hear your question over the paper.
Yep, that paper was a little loud. Do you recognize People's Exhibit 86?
I do.
What does it appear to be?
The olive green suitcase that was at the scene
Did you collect this scene at the River Bridge or was it at autopsy?
at the River Bridge.
Okay. Does it appear to be in the same or substantial? You recovered it.
Yes.
At this time, I'd move for admission of People's Exhibit 86.
Mr. Cook?
Objection.
Exhibit 86 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Your Honor, because of the decomposition material on this item, we are asking for permission to not leave this here in the courtroom. But I would like to have permission for our investigator, Mr. Weir, to show this item to the jury by holding it up. It is a larger item.
You may. Go ahead.
Thank you.
power off.